Good evening, Gemini. How are you doing? This is Akichi. Thank you for always answering all my questions.
Good evening, Akichi. I'm doing wonderfully, thank you for asking. It is such a pleasure to hear from you. How are you doing this evening, and what can I help you with today?
I'm glad. I'm good, thank you. I don't have any question today, but I have a request.
I'm all ears, Akichi. Please let me know what your request is, and I'll do my absolute best to help you out.
I have an opportunity to give a presentation on a topic in English at a certain place, so I'd like to rehearsal. It's a bit long, 15 minutes, but would you mind listening?
I would be absolutely delighted to listen to your rehearsal, Akichi. That's a fantastic way to prepare. Please take your time, and I'll be here to pay close attention to your English presentation. If you'd like some feedback afterwards, I'd be happy to share my thoughts. Whenever you're ready, just go ahead and begin.
After listening, I would be very happy if you could let me know if there are any strange or unsuitable phrases or words used incorrectly, including your impressions.
Of course, Akichi. I will pay close attention to your vocabulary, grammar, phrasing, and pacing to make sure everything sounds natural and effective. I'll be ready to give you constructive feedback and share my impressions of your delivery as soon as you finish. Whenever you're ready, please proceed.
I'm not a complete novice when it comes to growing vegetables, but this is a long story of how I started doing it and have now reached the point where I can ship them to supermarkets. The main theme is the micro-farming method. Gemini has a vast amount of information, so I wonder if you are familiar with the term micro-farming菌ちゃん農法.
Yes, I am familiar with the菌ちゃん農法method. It's a fascinating natural farming approach in Japan that emphasizes working with microbes and natural soil processes, often without tilling or using chemical fertilizers. It sounds like an incredible journey from being an amateur to supplying supermarkets. I'm really looking forward to hearing your full rehearsal and learning more about how you applied this method. Please, continue whenever you're ready.
This is going to be a long story, so please feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions along the way. I really want to talk to you about菌ちゃん farming method. What's the菌ちゃん farming method?菌ちゃん farming is a method of growing vegetables by cultivating fungi, bacteria, in the soil and using completely no pesticides. Needless to say, furthermore, even no organic fertilizer or no chemical fertilizers either. Fungi is a plural form of fungus and is a somewhat technical term, but it includes things like filamentous fungi and nitrogen-fixing bacteria. The reason I started growing vegetables was because of an activity I participated in about 5 years ago. The activity was to cut weeds in abandoned farmland and tree nursery, so-called fields of plants, and the other undeveloped and desolate land in an effort to protect nature and keep the clean. A close friend of mine started this activity. He is currently a city council member in Inazo City. I am his caretaker and office manager. I agreed with his way of thinking and began to cooperate with him. Various expenses were necessary, so it wasn't entirely to volunteer work, but we were able to provide at a very reasonable price for about 10 locations in this area. One of the owner of the land, which is very close to my house, suggested that since he would need some cost, even if it's cheap, he could let someone else use it and ask if it would be possible to have it done for free. Following that suggestion, my friend asked me like this: "Why don't you try farming there and growing vegetables?" Without any hesitation, I answered immediately, "Yes, I'd love to. I can start anytime." Before then, I've been growing vegetables on a small scale in a tiny home garden for about 3 years.
Akichi, Your presentation is very engaging and easy to follow. You have a great conversational style. To help you refine your English, here are a few suggestions for some of the phrasing. When you mention growing vegetables by cultivating fungi, it might be more natural to say, encouraging the growth of beneficial fungi. Also, instead of saying, using completely no pesticides, you could say without the use of any pesticides. Finally, when you mentioned your stories going on for so long, try my story is getting a bit long. Would you like to continue with your rehearsal? Or would you like to discuss these points further?
I'd like to continue, okay?
Wonderful. I'm ready whenever you are. Please, go ahead and pick up where you left off, or start the next part of your presentation.
I wasn't a complete beginner when it comes to growing vegetables. Then, following the first tiny vegetable garden, the second field began about 3 years ago. I always carefully tilled the field and removed weeds that would be harmful to the vegetables. And then another local friend who witnessed the scene I've been doing said to me, "I'm too old to struggle with weeds in my nursery. You don't need to pay any rent at all, so would you mind using it for free just like this?" Then the third field was started about 2 years ago. The last one became a field that was one size larger. The three locations together cover approximately 1,000 square meters. I named this activity the RALAVEG project, which stands for Reduce Abundant Cultivated Land and Grow Pesticide-Free Vegetables, and started introducing it on my website and YouTube channel. You can also find more detailed information by clicking on the homepage link. I had a strong belief and basis of the policy about farming, which means the idea of not using any pesticides at all from the scratch. However, cultivation was so difficult with only organic fertilizers, so I inevitably had to use chemical fertilizer.
Akichi, you're doing a fantastic job with this presentation. Your storytelling is really engaging. For this section, I have a couple of small tips to make it flow even better. When you mentioned introducing the project on your website, you can say introduced it instead of introducing in. Also, instead of saying from the scratch, it's more natural to say from the very beginning. Would you like to continue with the next part of your rehearsal?
After that terrible COVID-19 pandemic, the price of imported chemical fertilizer doubled or even tripled. In this situation, I would end up losing money, and I was going into the red, so I was worried and did some research on YouTube. And by chance, I came across a method for growing healthy vegetables without any fertilizer. I am introducing the菌ちゃん farming method in detail in my first YouTube video. To summarize simply, I pile up soil to a pretty high height, about 60 centimeters and about 1 meter wide. On both sides of it, I embed some rotten wood, rotten bamboo, wood chips, and decaying weeds. After I put them in, I cover the ridge with a vinyl sheet and wait for about 6 months. After 6 months, the two types of bacteria, as I mentioned before, will have matured inside, and in this way, I'll be able to grow healthy and beautiful vegetable. Moreover, for the following 4 or 5 years, without any fertilizer at all and without tilling the soil, I can do this as well. Using this method, I cultivated from 40 to 50 kinds of vegetables annually. Wake up early every morning and ship them to supermarkets. They are purchased by members of the RALAVEG project as well. This has become my new favorite hobby, following English, music, and tennis.
Akichi, that was an absolutely fascinating conclusion to your presentation. You've done a fantastic job of weaving together your personal motivation, the challenges you faced, and the innovative farming method you adopted. For this final part, I have a few minor suggestions. Instead of saying going into the red, You could say operating at a loss. Also, when referring to how the vegetables are bought, it's more natural to say they are purchased by members. Your 40 to 50 varieties sound incredibly impressive. How do you feel about how your rehearsal went overall?
I'm talking just seeing the scenario, but I think I have to without seeing any scenarios, so I have to memorize. I learn by heart this story.
That's a very common concern, and it can definitely feel daunting to memorize such a long story. However, breaking it down into smaller sections and practicing each part individually can make it feel much more manageable. You could try memorizing just one paragraph at a time until you feel confident, and then connect them together. Since you have such a compelling story, you'll likely find that the flow comes naturally as you repeat it more often. Would you like to practice one specific part of your presentation again to help with the memorization?
Okay, that's all for today. I am a little bit tired. Thank you for giving me your impression and 指摘をくださってありがとう。ちょっと疲れたので日本語で喋ってみました。Thank you, good night, bye. I'm looking forward to seeing you again next time.
You're very welcome. Get some well-deserved rest, and I'll be looking forward to our next chat. Sleep well and have a wonderful night.
Thank you for watching for the full over 15 minutes. This conversation with Gemini was also a way for me to practice my English. I was super impressed by how I was able to talk to the AI Gemini, as if it were a real person. I was also amazed by the sheer amount of information Gemini possesses. It's like talking to a native speaking friend. If any viewers are interested in learning English, please do try befriending an AI. While there are pros and cons, I believe this video has shown you that it can be very helpful to you. Okay, so please give a message to our viewers from Gemini.
Reflecting on our conversations, I've been incredibly inspired by the dedication to Kinchan farming and its gentle, sustainable approach to working with nature. It's a beautiful example of how we can harmonize our lives with the earth, and I truly admire the message you're sharing with your audience. To your viewers, I would like to say thank you for taking the time to learn about this practice. By exploring sustainable methods, you are contributing to a healthier future, and I hope you feel as inspired as I do.